We gel.
He's not just a chef, he's a storyteller. The game is trying to guess what the overarching theme of the entire meal is going to be. You won't know till the end.
So I saw the menu not too long ago. It's directed by Mylod, who is known for his TV work such as Shameless and Succession, two shows which I've heard of but haven't actually seen. And this film stars Anya Taylor-Joy and Nicholas Hoult as two companions amongst a breadth of other people, including food critics and celebrities, as they take a special boat trip to a restaurant on a remote island that's hosted by the world-renowned chef Julian Slowik, played by Ralph Fiennes, who is there to present them with his own personal special menu. But in true classic form, this proves eventually to be a gigantic mistake, as there is a slightly more messed up, murderous take to this menu than they had previously thought. So I went into this movie not really knowing what to expect. I hadn't seen any of the trailers, I only saw the promotional poster which had Ralph Fiennes on it, and from that I thought it looked really interesting. I did actually think that there was going to be a kind of a Sweeney Todd vibe to it, as it took place in a restaurant, there was a lot of food involved of course, and besides from being really separate from that, besides having a lot of messed up points in it, the film's narrative instead really explores a creative person's relationship with critics, or at least people who profess to being invested and intrigued by their work. It takes a look at how you are a creative person and you take extreme pride in your work, and yet you feel constantly undermined and undervalued by the opinions of others. People who profess to have a great interest in your work but instead continuously lambast what you've made just for their own personal gain or enjoyment, and you begin to lose your passion in your own craft as a result, and it really has a negative impact in your livelihood as a result. This is a sensation that is felt by literally countless people who are creative and create special forms of art like movies, paintings, games, and they feel incredibly prideful and satisfied in their work. And this movie explores that in a really psychologically stirring way, with a character who has grown a deep disdain and murderous attitude towards these other people who have come here, which is something I found really intriguing and pretty investing as the movie went on in its 100-minute runtime. Overall, I had a really great time with the menu, and all of that comes down to its great cinematography and its handling of setting, really great performances from all of its cast, and a really interesting story that continues to get better as it goes along. Most of the movie takes place in Julian's restaurant, or at least on his island, which I love. I really enjoy these movies that are way more contained, take place in a single setting, and it really helps to create this sensation that everyone who has come into the restaurant has literally now been trapped within Julian's world, while also being served the products of that world and witnessing firsthand just how messed up this world can be. I really enjoyed the execution of the story as a whole. It starts off semi-slow as it needs to introduce each of these characters. You have Nicholas Hoult's character, who is really annoying and is overly obsessive about food, as well as Anya Taylor-Joy, who isn't quite as interested and is a little bit more skeptical about what to expect. But the pace picks up much quicker as Julian reveals his true intentions and how he feels towards the customers. And for me personally, this is one of those movies that got better with each passing scene, which is a little bit tricky to do in the film industry, as I've heard. This one begins not badly, it just has to take its time to explore some of these characters, but then really picks up and really grows way more interesting, especially towards the end and many of the areas that come just before it with the main courses. There are scenes in this film that are really brutal, pretty bloody, that really took me off guard, but there are also some that are darkly hilarious. I saw that the audience that I was with had a really great time with some of the dark humour that was shown throughout the film. The movie makes use of these texts to describe each of the courses in the menu, which I thought was really genius and really clever. It made me laugh a lot because of how overly descriptive it can be, especially when it comes to Nicholas Hoult's character and what he has to do and how the movie treats that little dish he makes. The cast across the board did a really great job. I really liked Ralph Fiennes as Julian. I thought he was really good in the movie. I didn't quite know what he was doing with his accent at first, but I got used to it quite quickly. I really enjoyed how intimidating he was, especially when he would clap his hands and all the staff behind him would just immediately come to his attention going, he's not really Gunnery Hartman or Terence Fletcher, though he's definitely not supposed to be like them, but he is a really entertaining presence when he grows to be way more intimidating towards the people he is serving. But in the movie, my favourite actor overall was actually surprisingly Anya Taylor-Joy. I thought she was fantastic in the movie. I loved every line of dialogue she had, especially towards the end. I also really loved Hong Chau as Elsa, Julian's assistant, who is gleefully funny throughout the whole movie, and I loved her performance. But besides the acting, the story, and the characters, the camera work and the cinematography in general is just beautiful. It's a really gorgeous film to look at. I especially loved these shots where you see the characters sitting down in the restaurant and you can see the backdrop or the background behind the window that is looking out over the ocean, and you can see the weather and the environment outside just changing as it changes from sunlight to darkness as the sun goes down, which results in really great shots and really beautiful scenery throughout the film, which can also be quite thematic as it shows that the darkness is fading in on these characters. So in the end, you have a film that has a really focused, condensed story that is really riveting from start to finish. It has really great acting, with Anya Taylor-Joy being my favourite of all of them. The character arcs and motivations, especially regarding Julian's character, can quite be difficult to understand, but that's kind of the point, as it really requires you to pay attention to the story and what everyone's saying. And it also adds way more value to your second screening of the film, which I would recommend personally, as I really like this movie. And as for the ending of this movie, I won't spoil it for you, of course. I won't spoil what happens in the ending, even though it's pretty messed up. But aside from that, I really wanted that burger. I really wanted it. And he puts so many chips on that plate. So that's just my opinion on the menu. I had a really good time with the movie. I loved all the characters and the cast. I really am excited to see what else they do. I would love to hear your guys' opinions about the movie if you've seen it. If there's anything you think I've missed out that I should have talked about, I'd love to hear them in the comments for this video. I'll try to bring more content for you for other works I've done, because there are certain games and movies that I also really want to talk about. You guys are the best. Thank you so much as always for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, and please have a great Christmas.